The ModernJeeper Show, the show about Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers.
Well, hey, Modern Jeepers, this is another episode of the ModernJeeper Show with me, Matson from Metalcloak, and Mr. Modern Jeeper Corey Osborne.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Rockstar Jeep Girl Jessy.
Hello, what's going on?
Good. You got a little color going.
I do.
I know. I saw your post. Like it was time for some color.
Yeah, it was time for something.
Something a little
to
change up. Yeah. Can you give Corey a little color?
Yeah, I need a little color.
Little purple coming down here, maybe on the
Halloween's
sides.
coming, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be good. Like blood.
I can make it really silver.
No, blood red. Like a blood.
I did
red
get
hair.
I mean, it's a lot shorter. I mean,
I did cut it.
I did get a pretty good haircut. So.
Yeah, but you're wearing your Camprite hat.
I
friends
am.
at Camprite. Yeah.
Yeah, our friends at Camprite. Yeah, gotta have a shout out to our industry supporters and friends of the industry and all that kind of stuff. So figured I'd rock my new Camprite hat today.
Your Camprite hat, your JW speaker shirt, and then what do you have, Jesse? Is that
Jeep Reef?
Jeep
Reef.
Reef. Jeep Reef. A little different than Jeep Beef.
Yeah.
Wait, that's where the Jeep Reef is sitting. Is that a reef there?
Yeah.
Is that kind of a reef?
Yeah, I guess so, huh? Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, he is good too.
What are you doing out there in the big state of California?
You know, we're breathing because, you know, we don't have any, and not as much smoke in the air. So that's good.
A good thing.
It's good. We're still hot. Still in the 80s. You know, sun's still out there. We're still working every day. Make sure everybody gets their stuff. You know, getting parts shipping stuff out.
45 degrees last night here.
45?
It's cold in here.
Wow.
I have to go sit out in the sun just to get warm.
Yeah, we were only, I think we're supposed to be 69 today, but the leaves are starting to change even a little bit more for our adventure this weekend coming up. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, you know, my backyard still sucks because I've been debilitated. So you talk about the leaves changing. The first thing I think about is all the leaves falling from my trees in the backyard that I haven't cleaned up. And I've got it's bad. I'm so ashamed. My man card's going to be turned in because I haven't taken care of my backyard. If I was a real man, I'd been out there anyway. I've been out there in a wheelchair, still taking care of my backyard. But no, I'm like, oh, shit. But you know how hard it is to hire somebody? We've had this conversation before. Yeah. People don't actually want to work anymore.
No.
And, you know, funny you brought that up. I got to give a shout out to our friends at the DMV office here in Montrose. My driver's license had expired, and I pulled up out front. And you know, the Montrose is a pretty small place anyway. But they're closed for lunch, and there's a big sign on the door that says, you know, we're going to be gone from 12 to 1. And I pulled up about 1:45. Big sign out front that says, really, it said the gist of it was by appointment only. And I didn't have an appointment, and I thought I'd go down there and see. Since I have a commercial driver's license, I knew I had to go get a physical and all that kind of stuff. So I went to our urgent care office, and they got me in, and only took about 4 hours to get a physical. And yeah, that's a whole nother story. But so I pulled up at the DMV, and there's some chairs outside, even though the door's locked and they're all at lunch. And the guy's coming back from lunch, and a younger guy and super nice. And he's like, hey, do you have an appointment? I'm like, you know, I don't. I was just kind of seeing. I tried to do it online. I needed to upload my medical stuff, and he's like, yeah, well, we're really short staffed today, so go ahead and go online and see if you can make an appointment. So a couple other people are showing up about this time, and there's like 3 of us now sitting out there, and the door's still locked. It's not 1:00 yet, and the sign in the middle of the door says, we're at lunch, we're closed until 1. I can't tell you how many of those people went up and tried that door. And there's people standing outside, and you know, everybody had to go up and test it make sure it was still locked, and of course it still was locked. And dude comes out, and I'm on my iPhone, and I'm trying to make an appointment through the Colorado DMV, and it's wanting to. There was apparently a pop-up that's getting blocked, and I'm not able to do this from my phone. And dude came out to check on everybody and said, "Look, we're just setting up. We'll be right with everybody. Everybody here have an appointment." And a few people did, and he goes, "How about you? Were you able to get in?" And I'm like, I can't figure out how to make an appointment." And he's like, "You have an iPhone?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I'll take care of you. Just give me a second." Goes back in, makes me an appointment.
Wow.
And yeah, and comes back out, and he says, "The nearest appointment I can get you is 3:45, but we're working through everybody." He goes, "If you want, just hang tight and I'll get you. It'll probably be 20 minutes." I'm like, "Cool, that would be awesome."
Wow.
More people showing up this whole time, and some people they're taken care of, they're getting them in and out. And literally he comes back out like 15 minutes later, and he's like, "I got you, let's go."
Wow.
So yeah, he gets me in. I get to renew my license. They take the picture, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's just amazing to me. And this whole time, people are standing there wanting to ask him questions, and he's got a smile on his face, and he's like, "You know what? We're doing the best we can. We'll get you when we can." And it was pleasant, the fact that people they can't read, they can't follow directions. They even after you tell them, "Hey, that door's locked," you know how many people still tried it? Because
right.
That's my goal. When I get really old, when I retire, I'm gonna go sit down there, and I'm just gonna harass people as they go into the DMV, I think.
The official DMV mascot. That's funny.
Yeah.
You know, that is, how many times you walked up to a door and it says push and you pull, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But okay, I've done that. I walked up and said, you know, it's like, oh, is that really? Yeah, they are closed. Or you grab the door, you know, and you look at the hours and you check just a little bit, and oh, did I just miss it? Or I don't know.
Well, it's just so funny, you know. It says, you know, so guy comes out and he's having a conversation with one person, and he's like, you know, we're short staffed today. We really need you to make an appointment. And then the person standing right next to that person kind of does this whole, "But what about me?" Well, do you have an appointment? No. So, and he actually, it was kind of funny because he apologized. When he came back over to me, he's like, "I'm so sorry. Sometimes my explanations get very long-winded." And I'm like, "You're awesome. Like, you're doing and you're saying the exact same thing to the person standing right next to this other person who apparently was just, well, I'm different than that guy. I know he might have to have an appointment, but I shouldn't have to have an appointment."
Right.
Oh,
People are smart.
Well, you know, yeah.
Super smart.
So, yeah, the challenge of all of that is this is just life as we know it, right? And we do have expectations and entitlement. Let's get down to that word entitlement. I mean, if this was a political show, we'd decimate that word entitlement because there's a definite feeling of entitlement, right?
oh, absolutely.
Now, I've gotten down there. I've done, you know, the DMV. It's kind of funny. I wonder how many states in the union actually use Department of Motor Vehicles, DMV, because it's become kind of the generic term you always hear for Department of Motor Vehicles, but
Right.
many states don't. Arizona, I think it might be the DMV now. When I lived there, it wasn't. It was some other acronym. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, like vehicle registrations or something.
Yeah, it was something else. Like it was in fact, I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah, it's interesting that,
But
I don't know, and we're so used to now doing everything online, getting appointments. I mean, it was entertaining for me to go to urgent care and sit there for almost 4 hours. The people that come in and out of urgent care are definitely they're as unique as the people who are down at the DMV, I think. A lot of travelers, a lot of people going in for COVID tests. And yeah,
it's the Arizona DOT, ADOT, but it's the MVD, not the DMV. It's MVD, Motor Vehicle Department or Division, but something like that. But how can Arizona MVD help you? Wow, VD, I'm not sure. You know, I'm okay. I've had it before. I'm okay. I don't need that again. I don't need the MVD. I'm vaccinated.
We are used to, well, look at COVID. Look at we got DMV, the DOT, we got ARB, ARS, MC Owners Club. I mean, we're all about acronyms.
Right. Give me an acronym and I'll show you a fantastic time. I don't know. I don't know. Oy vey. So back to I cut you off completely when I started talking about how lousy my backyard is right now and how I'm not going to use that word because the first word that came to mind is probably the wrong word to use, but how I just suck right now. But that being said, you were talking about San Juans in Colorado and what's coming up here in just a couple of days.
Yes. It's, this is going to be such a fun trip. Again, this is kind of like we get to, for Jesse and I, we get to go play in our own backyard. And we have it's a small group. We just saw some reports. We saw actually the other day, we were doing some pre-running and some kind of, we're going to have to get a little creative because of course this side of the mountain is still under construction. So we've had some construction up in our mountain passes that the road we use to get to some of our trails is actually closed. So we're kind of adjusting things, and we were up doing some pre-running and coming back down the highway. There was a bunch of people on the side of the road, and people were driving like idiots, of course. And Jesse was on the radio, and she says, "Yeah, it's probably an accident." Oh, I'm like, "Oh, I'm sure." Cars lined both sides of the road, hazards
people
on.
Stopping abruptly.
People 60 miles an hour. People are just standing out on the road, and we're like, "What is going on?" And everybody's looking over to this one area, and we look over, and there's a full-blown bull moose, bullwinkle antlers, the whole ball of wax, standing beside the road. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've only seen two other moose. Would that be meese?
No, that'd be that's meese would be mice. Would be meese, mooses.
Two other mooses.
I've only seen two out of the mooses.
I've only seen two other moose in the San Juans, and that was a number of years ago. And they were females. They didn't have their big antlers and whatnot. Whereas this guy had he had a beard, the bullwinkle antlers. It was pretty spectacular.
Was standing there staring at everybody, taking pictures of it.
Yeah, he was totally posing. So the
plural
moose are
of
down.
moose. The plural of moose is moose.
Moose. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Moose.
Yeah, just
meese.
some more.
Meese sounds better.
Mooses.
Mooses.
No, I think of mice.
Yeah.
And so mice. Jesse just saw a report of two other bull moose on the Silverton side of Red Mountain Pass. Guys taking pictures of them. So the moose are here, and that would be really cool if we were to come across a couple of moose.
And bear.
So is this like an invasion? Are they? Is this a migration? Are they coming down? Are they do they normally live up in the area, or do they migrate?
I think they're just looking for Rocky.
No, he's up in Canada, dude.
He's just a squirrel.
Yeah, he's in Canada.
We have one of those.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Rocky and Bull are up in Canada, dealing with the mountain. They're Canadian. Although, just like other cool Canadians, maybe they came to the U.S.
Maybe
Ryan Reynolds, Ian Johnson, Rocky Bullwinkle. I mean, that's it.
Be.
See, you have some of the best Canadians ever here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and just another kind of an observation, I guess. This seems to be the time of year where there's an awful lot, and I don't know if this is, I think this is just a trend that we're seeing because of COVID, but there are events, not your typical show and shine, Jeep club, let's go off-road kind of vendor show events, but trail rides, planned expeditions. And I noticed, I was doing some research early yesterday, and it seems to me that about every company out there, if you're involved in outdoor recreation, you now have events. I was on, let me pull it up here. I think I was on, it wasn't Backcountry, which, by the way, backcountry.com, I do a lot of research and just shopping and whatnot. Oh, it was the Climb. The Climb is CLYMB. And there's a bunch of sites that are tied into the Climb. Gear Up and Active Gear, something like that. They're all kind of the same site, I think, with different front ends. But this is a company that just sells shoes and fitness stuff. Well, they also do a whole bunch of guided trips. So a couple of these other websites out there that are just they're resellers of active outdoor stuff. They're now starting to do their own guided trips. And I was just kind of curious about what pricing, what they did, what do you get as far as when you sign up for one of their trips. And it's kind of interesting. The Climb are literally hiking trips. But I'm surprised at what you pay for. So some of these are 4 and 5 days. Literally, they're going to take you into Yellowstone. They're going to walk you up to Half Dome. It's $1,000 a person.
So just want to clarify: Yellowstone Half Dome or Yosemite Half Dome?
Oh, I'm sorry, Yosemite.
Okay. I was just want to clarify that.
Yeah, no, and they have a lot of.
But it's $1,000 to guide you up Half Dome.
Yeah.
Yep.
In camp.
Now I wonder if they do that. So they take care of everything. They take care of permits. They
do.
Anything valuable about it? Like, I mean, the reality is obviously going up Half Dome. I have never done it. But it is these days, it's quite a mess with the number of people that go. It's just one long line of people, from what I understand. Now maybe it's a little different, but it's like one long line.
People that want to go out hiking, but they're afraid to. So, I mean, this is a whole deal that they do for hiking, and
they have trips all over. This is just their U.S. National and State Park Adventure side.
Wow.
They do Moab, they do the Grand Canyon, Washington, Yellowstone, Death Valley, mostly hiking and biking type trips. Of course, they are how do I say it? They're a adventure company that doesn't. They're not a Jeep overlanding company. They do. Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, if you're in the business of encouraging people to go out and do something for fun, you might as well. I don't care what it is. If you make basketballs, I hope you're out there doing basketball tournaments, right? If you are in the Jeep business, we're out there doing the Jeep trips, right? And if you're in tennis shoes, then maybe you're getting involved in getting people into the sport of tennis. So that's pretty cool. I mean,
it is.
And I think the backpack.
I would want to Death Valley hiking. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I mean, and I actually was looking at one of their Death Valley trips, and this is 4 days, 3 nights, hiking in Death Valley. They at night, the guides you're with actually will prepare your meal, but you still sleep in a tent, and this is a hiking trip.
Yeah, so you're still hiking and all tent camping and full. It'd be interesting to do. Here's an interesting idea, and maybe if somebody's out there listening to us, I think it'd be great. Like the Pacific Crest Trail, right? And I don't know if they do that at the other end. What's because you have what's the trail at the other end of the country? The big one, Appalachian. Yeah, the Appalachian Trail. So the AT and the PCT. And maybe somebody does this, but I've never heard of it myself, because a PCT is a big deal, doing the whole thing and being a complete through hiker. That's a big deal. You start early in the year, you get done right, you get through there. But imagine if you had a group that, like, what do we do? Like, we're sectioning it off. Like, for X amount of dollars, we will take you through the first section of the PCT, right? And over a period of, you could technically over a couple of years do different sections of it, and then eventually have the complete PCT under your belt. Because that's, I mean, it seems to me there is that kind of thing. Like I love the idea of the PCT, and it's not something I don't think I'm at this point in my life, and be with the kids and everything else, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I did 125 miles of it, but I very specifically did not do Death Valley. Like we started at Lone Pine, right? That's where we first started, was Lone Pine. So we're already through the Death Valley part, starting out into the PCT where it was already into the Sierras. So, but imagine it would be interesting to do that, to do Death Valley with a group that's going to take care of it, make sure you have the water. Because the thing about doing the PCT is you're going to water stations, you're hoping there's water there when you don't have it. I mean, there's a whole process to it, right?
Right.
You starting at the border and getting there. That would be kind of interesting to do that.
I've always been, I'm just kind of getting a feel for how many places and people do guiding, and as when I used to do a lot of scuba diving, of course, wherever we would go, we would sign up with that local shop, because if you don't know an area, the best way to do it is to go out with somebody who does.
Right.
But I'm always surprised because, even from jeeping, overlanding, the number of adventures that we've put together, I don't feel like, there's the value there per dollar is kind of different. All of these trips we're finding, that I just pulled up one of their Mammoth trips, and you start to and from Mammoth. You 4 nights of camping. This is $2,000 a person.
Well, they supply the tent, the pad, and the sleeping bag. The rest is on you. They supply the meals, the passes, the permits, special equipment.
Do they make you carry your own sleeping bag?
Yes, you carry your own gear.
Carry your own gear, but they supply it for you.
Yes.
So
you get to sleep in somebody else's sleeping bag.
So see, that would be, if I were doing that, I would be like, for $2,000, we're giving you an $800 setup. And that $800 setup is a great backpack. It's your food canister. It's your food. Now, it's one of the interesting things about these trips. Like when I did the 125 miles of PCT, I had a bear canister that was probably most of my weight, right? Heavy duty plastic bear canister. And the most disappointing part of the entire trip was it never got messed with by a bear. Yeah, I would have enjoyed it if they had actually messed with the darn thing, but they didn't. The one night I thought they did, it was just a big buck deer coming through, but that would have been fine. But no, I carried this darn thing for all that time and never got messed with. But so having somebody to carry that kind of stuff would make it easier for other people that want to lightweight hike, right? If all your food was carried or prearranged, that would make it, because you get to enjoy it. On the flip side of that, I'm very much for people enjoying that things. However, the easier you make it, the less friction there is for more people to do something. Then the more selfish side of me comes back and goes, there's only been a handful of people that have gone through and seen this section of the trail. We're hiking through and you're going, only people that have been through. If you're willing to hike through to get here, you can get here. You create less friction and you end up having a lot more people going and doing something. And we both know the flip side of that is the more people that do something, the more problems it creates. And then it feeds itself to the environmentalist challenges and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It's no different than wheeling events that we attend, like Moab, it's the Easter Jeep Safari. I think as Jeepers, it's an interesting perspective for us, because I think that we're always looking to make sure we get a different kind of value for our dollar, whether it's an experience or some memory or some special thing. Whereas I'm noticing a lot of these other trips. I mean, when we went to Peru and hiked the Inca Trail, and we didn't pay anywhere near these kind of prices, and everything was done for us. We could carry our own gear, and all we had to do was hike the trail. But it seems like now we're in a different mode, and I think that there's so much demand that there's folks that, I mean, $2,000 a person to come hang out with somebody, and they're going to take you on a trail. It's not like the trail doesn't exist. They're not cutting a path for you.
Well, and like any world, and we're seeing the growth. If the more growth is available and the more opportunity for profit someplace, the more of the hackers and the hucksters that jump into it that maybe shouldn't be doing it. Maybe they shouldn't be doing Jeep events. Maybe they shouldn't be doing guided trail runs. Maybe they shouldn't be doing, but oh man, a little chance to make some money. We're going to go out there and do that, because then you create a problem, and then you have a chance, there's more risk. So for listeners, and I think our listeners are smart, it's just do your due diligence on any organization you sign up with, right?
Right. No, absolutely. some of these adventures look absolutely phenomenal, and maybe I'm just cheap, or just have a different perspective of what I'm willing to pay for. I think that there's, especially in our state park system, like there's so much information that's already out there. Get a buddy of yours together and plan a vacation and go out with your friend and take your Jeeps. And there's amazing things that you can do. But I understand it. Like you're also going to rely on the park service and other people there to give you that information. Whereas some of these are a little bit more hand holding, I'm guessing.
Probably more hand holding. Probably, I would say there's probably a lot of international customers,
Probably true.
right? Coming in, just like you. I mean, a local Peruvian's not going to go hire somebody to, hike up there, right?
Right.
But you did whereas out here, it's probably, we see that with Nina, and I'm sure big, customer base for Nina is of some international customers coming in. We see that with Outlaw Jeep Tours with Jeremy and some of these others. International customers come in, they want to do something. They don't have any idea. They just want the experience, right? And so they go through even some of the local Rubicon stuff, and the Rubicon Trail Adventures, I think, is the group out here. Same thing. They get some international customers paying top dollar to be completely taken care of, but they just want the experience of going through the Rubicon. But they're willing to pay top dollar to have all the food taken care of, everything else taken care of, everything going, because hell, they already paid top dollar just to get to the country. And now they're doing this big trip here, and it's part of their experience. We used to see that a lot in when I went to Japan and during the heyday of Japanese tourism, where you could literally go into a bank and get a loan for going on vacation. And you get issued a card, and here's your loan for going on vacation. And they would go to Hawaii or go elsewhere, go someplace in the world and just spend a ton of money just to have that experience, right? But there was no way they were going to do it on their own.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe we're just, I don't know. I mean, I think it's an evolutionary thing that we're seeing, especially the demand for these type of adventures, number one. And we all know that there's a plethora of folks taking folks out, and I think that we've changed what's important to us. We want to go outdoors. We want to enjoy ourselves. We don't want to be quote unquote stuck anymore. And I think we're seeing that in our workforce. People aren't wanting to go back to work. They're still wanting to venture out. And now that school has started back in, I think it's interesting. There's still a lot of people.
It's crazy.
There's still so many people out and about, like it's still summertime.
But
I don't know.
I think we're all learning that life can be different. And I think I mentioned it before, where there was a house we were looking at, and we're not going to buy it. It's too much money for too little acreage. But the reason the family is selling, and they still have kids, right? They have no reason to go except for they've decided that they can work remotely. So they're selling their really nice house that they put a lot into, and their property and everything else, to buy an RV and travel the country with their kids, right? They were already homeschooling. And so now they're going to be one of those RVers going across the country, going to different places, and they'll see where they end up. They may come back to California. They may end up some other state, but now they can raise their kids on the road, do all their work remotely, continue to make the same living they were making, but they don't have to be tied down. And I think we're seeing more and more people. Van life. I mean, have you checked out van life lately? Mm-hmm. It's huge. It's huge. Yeah. I mean, people are just like converting vans, and the big thing now is getting ambulances, box ambulances, and converting.
Buses. I ran into 2 of those on the way back from Oklahoma, and apparently they were going to Buena Vista to do a show called Gutted. They had certain teams that were doing an ambulance, there
was a pickup, there was
and a school bus, and they were on teams on how they were going to build these vehicles,
how they were going to gut them and create living quarters inside these vehicles,
because they already have one themselves, so they just made a TV show out of it.
I was looking at one that was it was an ambulance. It was freaking gorgeous inside. Like the sink was all set up off of some reclaimed wood. I mean, You did an incredible job of turning around. And the school buses, the school buses have been around since the tiny homes, right? They were turning those in the tiny homes. But yeah, so we are definitely in a different world now where people are like, screw the idea of being tied down in one location. Let's go out and do it, right?
Well, look what we've done with our Jeeps. I mean, it is all about making them capable for them to go anywhere we want to go.
Right. And traveling, I mean, I hate to say it, but traveling was part of what Gabby and her boyfriend were involved in, right? For all of those listening, this is on Tuesday and you'll hear this Thursday morning, but that's what they were doing. And that's that generation is very much into this idea of, and what's interesting about it is I believe just going back a few years, you're getting out of college, that generation or out of school, whatever, there was a desire to travel internationally. Like that was the big push, right? Like, let's travel internationally. We got to get out of our home and go. And there was there's books like Vagabonding and some of the others and guys like Tim Ferriss that were helping making the idea of traveling on hardly any dollars at all. I think there's a show was called $20 a day at one point or $40 a day. Traveling around the world and going to all these different places was a big push. I think that's changed now because of COVID. There's a whole generation that's discovering that traveling America is actually just as exciting and just as interesting as traveling the world. And I think it's fantastic, but you're right. Now it means you go places and it's just, there's a lot of people there in places where you normally wouldn't see anybody.
Well, and it's so funny because we're in the same, all of our adventures are a little bit different from each other, and the evolution and the technologies that allow us to do things a little differently. It's still in evolving. Like people used to go what we call now overlanding. A lot of people just called it camping.
It used to be called camping.
They drove to a place and they got out of their car and they put up a tent and a sleeping bag and then they continued their travels the next day or went hiking or whatever. Now it's kind of gained this official following and it's the world of the titanium spork. And it's if you don't have 28 grams of stuff you can get rid of. I know.
Careful.
I know.
Well, I don't know why you went down grams. I mean, so you're right. I mean, we talked about this before, right? When Becker and myself and Eric Ennis started doing our annual backpacking trip to Buck Island, I remember I had like 45, 50 pound bag and Scott was probably at 35, 40, right? And Becker's down to like 12 pounds of all his gear is in 12 pounds. I mean, he shaved everything off, right? But that is kind of the game now. There's so much technology, so much opportunity. It is interesting though, because I think that people are going to continue to do this. I think they're going to continue to travel, continue to have stuff. I don't know if it's ever going to evolve back to the way it was. There's always going to be companies that need you to be here. We're a manufacturing facility. We need you here. You can't work remotely and pack control arms into a box, right? You just can't do that. And we can't I can't effectively manage my people, and if I'm remote, right? I need to be here. I need to walk the shop floor every day and see how things are doing and talk to my people every day and make sure they're doing good and make sure that everything's running smooth. And that's just the way my life's going to be. But what are my kids going to be doing in 10, 15 years? What's the idea going to be for them? How are they going to travel? How are they going to do things? I don't know. I'm fascinated by it. I think it's an amazing opportunity for people, but discovering the US, discovering your own backyard, I'm in Sacramento and I forget that people come from all over the world to come see our state capitol, to come see old Sacramento, to come see some of the things, the California State Museum that's here and all these other things that are right here. And we tend to forget what's in our own backyard. You can't because you drive by it every day and you go wheeling in it every day. But there are things in your own backyard.
We try. I put up an article. This week has been there's been a few articles out there with Stellantis, the parent company of Jeep, what they're doing. And as far as us moving forward into this technology tunnel, I'm going to call it, this technology path, things are going to continue evolving. And as we start talking about the environmental changes, what our government is doing to try and help, global warming and be more green and electric vehicles, I agree with you. I think that you're exactly right. It's not gonna stop. It's gonna continue to evolve. But I'm a little gun shy because it's allowing, I mean, and we talk about it and we see it. People are now, they can work mobile, and I think that's a great thing. But all of a sudden, us putting charging stations in the middle of the Rubicon or Death Valley,
Right.
and us carrying around all this gear so that we can go sit somewhere in the middle of nowhere and still feel like we're at home or do work. Isn't that why we went there, was to get away from that? And we're being kind of pulled both ways into it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm the technologies that are coming about in the automotive industry are just amazing, and I can see we're getting closer to these autonomous vehicles that we can no longer work on or modify, which for our listeners out there, that is still a big push. And organizations like SEMA, where everybody just thinks that's a big car show, SEMA, the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association, goes to bat legislatively for us to say, hey, we need to keep the ability for us to modify these vehicles on our own, which is, there's legislation out there that says no more. You're not going to be able to put that engine in your vehicle. The RPM Act and all those kind of things. So again, I just think we need to be cautious because we're kind of being fed, here's some more technology. This is great. Now we have, fiber optic lines running through what used to be mountain areas, and we're going to have hotspots, so our cars can now determine what the road conditions are like before we know it, so that we can plan our trips. Man, we're really going down a different kind of path.
Well, and I think you're right. And let's look at Starlink.
Yes.
I think Starlink is going to be fantastic for people in rural. Some of the houses I've looked at do not have adequate internet, and they're running HughesNet and these other archaic systems. And Starlink is going to make it great. Sure, fantastic. I have great internet at my rural home. But once Starlink is completely in place, you could be in the middle of the Rubicon and be on the internet, which is one of the great things about the Rubicon. When you're out there on the Rubicon, or you're sitting at Rubicon Springs, you are isolated from technology. Right. You're isolated from the outside world, and it is a true vacation. You can't just sit there and go, oh, well, I better go find a way. No, you're isolated. However, once something like Starlink is completely in place, there's not going to be anywhere on this planet where you could go and not be able to disconnect. You have to literally take the time to say, I am not going to be on my computer. I'm not going to be on my laptop. I'm not going to use my phone. And I think that's a challenge. I think a lot of people, maybe the millennial generation, the new generations that are, well, the digital generation, let's call them that. Mm-hmm. The digital generation doesn't know what it's like to be disconnected. Right. Right. And that's something they need to know. Now going down that path, then you have something like the Rivian truck. Right. And I know we're supposed to be talking about, this is a Jeep show, so let's talk a little bit about vehicles. Have you seen the Rivian truck? Have you seen? So there's an article going right now, and you probably know the trail. It's a full cross country trail, and I think the guys from Motor Trend are taking a couple of Rivian trucks now all the way across the country. What's the name of that trail?
Is the site the Atlantic something?
I'm gonna look at it up now, because it's one of these things where we're supposed to have notes. See, we don't have notes to all of our listeners.
This is all on the fly.
We don't make notes, so it's all based on our own memory. So if we're sitting there going, "What the hell am I talking about?" It's because I didn't prepare. Unlike if we were a professional, we'd actually have our stack of stuff. Let's see here. The Trans-America Trail.
Trans-America, there we go.
Yeah, so if you go to Motor Trend, you can, for our listeners, Google Motor Trend, Rivian and review, and you'll see that they actually have an article, and they're taking the Rivian trucks on the Trans-American Trail. Now, what is incredible about this is what a great freaking marketing process for Rivian to say this is a real truck. Because, I love Tesla, but the Cybertruck is a different truck for a different reason, right? And it's going to have its advantages. But Rivian's saying, look, this is a real truck. It just happens to be electric, and you can go cross country with it. You can go through mud and water and all these other things and take this, absolutely mostly off-road trail across the country. And the guys, here's a couple of trucks, Motor Trend, go ahead, go for it, right? I mean, that is fantastic marketing. And I think it's going to be a winner. I mean, it's a good-looking truck. Quite honestly, it's what I expected when Tesla was going to announce their truck. I figured they'd have something good-looking like that. And the Cybertruck is what it is, and people like it. I'm not a fan myself, just not what I expected, but it'll be cool when you see it driving down the road next to you. And you try to get out of its way as it tries to wedge its way around you.
Right.
But the Rivian is just a great looking truck, and it's going to have fun. I think a lot of people are going to start using it for overlanding. But my point being, here's a vehicle like that, fully electronic, all about the electronics, all about the accessibility, and you see them out there overlanding in the middle of Death Valley, right? Well, I don't want to be mean about this, right? I'm trying to use the proper words. That to me is not being disconnected from the world.
Right.
You've brought your refrigerator essentially with you. You brought your household appliance with you. You can't disconnect under those circumstances because you have to stay connected to the grid.
It is, and it's the creature comforts. It's why we buy new vehicles. It's why we buy the Gladiators and the JLs and all of these creature comforts that are built into them. And we're not driving around in our old TJs, and well, some of us are, my LJ. And it's because I don't know, maybe that crowd is just getting a little older, but those vehicles are still the extreme vehicles, right? They're the ones that are going to go rock crawling and all that. They're not the ones that are going to go drive across open expanses, and they're not going to, the rock crawler buggy is not going to drive down the highway anywhere. It's not comfortable.
Right.
So all of these hybrid type crossover vehicles have become the new normal for sure. But I'm still, I don't know. We're also part of a group there's still a whole bunch of people out there talking on CB radios.
Right.
We're talking about electric vehicles, and we're going to communicate via CB. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's so last decade's technology. And even with new stuff, GMRS, ham frequencies, can you imagine the evolution? We're on 5G technologies where they're saying, we won't even have to worry about GMRS and business band, VHF, UHF, because we'll all be connected through cell service point to point across America.
Well, look at this. I mean, imagine a time where, hey, all Tesla owners could call each other just free using Tesla's system, right?
Right.
That imagine a time where Rivian, my kids all have, God forsake me, but my kids all have their own pads. Even my 2-year-old has her own, Kindle Fire pad, and which keeps her from, because she's a mean little girl. She's 2 years old, and she'll go. Like last night, Josh comes crying. What happened? His 2-year-old sister hit him over the head with her little bottle, her sippy cup bottle that had water in it. Like she's a little mean one. So to keep her from beating them up about their pads, she's got her own little pad, right? Her own little kids. But those pads can call each other. Like, because it's all tied with Alexa, like they can sit there and they can call me. I can be in another room and they can call daddy over the phone, and Alexa rings and I have to answer Alexa and talk to them like they could be in another room, right? So that's just using the Fire technology, which is just based on the internet. Totally free calling.
Taught them this?
Huh? Oh no, they figured it out themselves.
Oh God.
Yeah, they saw the phone icon and hit it and said, "What does this do?" And next thing you know, they're calling. Yeah, I didn't teach them anything. Yeah, they taught themselves. Especially Josh, he figures all this stuff out. Jack comes to me and goes, "Daddy, it's not working." But Josh is like, wait a second, you're 4 years old. Josh, who's 5 years old, he never came to me ever about how to use his pad. He figured it all himself. You got to figure this out yourself, kiddo. But so that's what they do. So you take the technology of Tesla. Why can't all the Teslas in the world be interconnected with their own communication systems, from one to another? If Bob's on the Tesla, right? And avoid other interconnectivity. Same thing with Rivian trucks, or which means you could be in the middle of no place in your Tesla and make a call and call somebody who else is in it, whatever. But that technology exists to be able to not have intercommunication between each other, to have this connectivity between each other. That doesn't require cell phones or cell signals or anything else, right?
Nope. I mean, and that's where Stellantis is moving. They're saying, hey, look, these cars have enough computers in them. We can have a system where it is getting road information as you drive wherever it is you're going. It already does that. Look at our navigation system.
Sure.
Now it's going to even detect, down to smaller things and quicker updates, and basically live. You hit the brakes for something, well, the car coming the other direction is going to know that you've hit the brakes for something. That kind of, and again, privacy, we've given up. Like there's no more of that. That just went out the window.
Half the Ubers I get into, and I do an Uber every day because of my foot. I do Uber in the morning and I get a ride home at night. But half the Ubers I get into have the dash cam that is two-way, right? There's one facing forward and one facing back, so they can see the passenger. Yep. And the recording, it's recording
all the time.
And
I think if you buy a van, one of those conversion vans, don't you automatically have to have your own YouTube channel?
And it's a requirement. You have to sign paperwork.
Then you just have to have the RayBan glasses. Have you seen the new ones from Facebook? Yeah, RayBan Story. I actually want to buy a pair. They're like I want to get a pair. It's like $300, but they have 5K cameras on either side, and you can sit there and say and whatever it is, take photo, and it'll take a photo, and you can say start video, and it'll start a video, or you can hit the button. And they're full on Ray-Ban sunglasses, Wayfarer style, and I think they have another style too, but the Wayfarer sunglasses, but with cameras. So be cautious when you're going someplace and somebody's wearing a pair of Wayfarers, because you may not. Now they do have little lights that say, we put these little lights here to make sure that people understand when they're being recorded. Yeah, most of us wouldn't see that. But so you got to wear it. But that's the thing. It's like, it's a digital
social
life.
Media. Facebook was becoming the place where, people were over, like, I don't want to see what Joe had for dinner and his plate of food, and people would post what they ate for dinner. But it's amazing to me what people will watch. This whole Gabby situation, where her YouTube stuff, all of those videos of her sitting in her tent and sitting in the van and all of their fights and whatever they were doing is becoming its own little reality show. And it's because of their YouTube channel. And is that really where we're headed? I mean, I wonder
sit in our house and watch other people.
I wonder who has like full, like, if her, because obviously her YouTube channel is blowing up.
Oh yeah.
And there's some value to that. So I wonder who actually had control of the channel, if it was her or him. And in that case, who actually gets the value? Does YouTube just get all that content for free now, or do they still have to pay somebody?
That's a good question.
For the work that was done and all that content. If there's actual monetary value there, who gets that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, this is our future, right? Remember that TV show? And I don't know, it might still be on, Big Brother, where there's multiple cameras all around the house, and it was a reality show,
right?
And that was a game show. Well, that's just the way it is now. Like that is.
And people are willing to do it. And again, we talk about TikTok because that's my big thing right now, to try to understand it and see if there's things I can do with it. And I care less about Facebook and some of the other things, because one of the things about TikTok, it really is unfiltered. It is filtered on certain things, like there's no nudity, that sort of thing, but content wise, it's unfiltered still. But yeah, people are just basically like, this is our life, this is what we're doing, and this is our thing. And it's amazing. And a lot of people use that to promote their YouTube channel. But there was a book written, God. So, there was a book, In Search of Excellence. And that was In Search of Excellence. And I forget the author, but this was like 90s or late 80s, early 90s. And he wrote a second book called Brand You. And this is, it's so telling because that's what our world is about. In Search of Excellence by Tom Peters. And
I think I might even have that in my closet, actually. Interesting.
The brand called You, let's see, Brand You, Tom Peters. Yeah. And that was his thing. And this is like, he came up with this in the 90s, I think, was what you needed to start thinking about, is that you are a brand, right? And that's where people are now. It is evolved. Like everybody is a brand. I think I don't know what it is about school. These kids grow up thinking success means how good you're managing your own brand.
Right. And wow. Yeah, that's very
interesting.
That's such an abstract idea from where we've come from. And I don't know what happened to the preppers? Isn't the world going to come to an end?
Oh, they're out there.
Where did they go?
They're just now promoting themselves on YouTube and TikTok. Mm-hmm. They're still out there.
They're out there.
Speaking of which, so I've also I follow NFTs and crypto and stuff, as I mentioned earlier. But I just saw QAnon. The guy who apparently was the mastermind behind QAnon is now selling 5 of his tweets, an image of 5 of his tweets that he tweeted that were the ones that were retweeted by President Trump as NFTs. And so he's got them up for auction as NFTs. So he's trying to, and he wants to use the funds from that to fund some other freedom project that he's working on. But he has 5 of them posted up. Did just one's up, but he has 5 total he's going to do.
And so then you could own them.
You can own, but just a screenshot. Like basically he's taken a screenshot of it and posted that screenshot as an NFT for people to bid on and decide if they want to have that. And right now it's at like $600 with 19 days left or whatever. So it's not quite going to where he was hoping, I'm sure. But it's just got a craziness. But yeah, that's where your preppers are now. I mean, they're still prepping. They're just now documenting what they're doing to prep and then making money off of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's I agree we should all be prepared for going out on the trail and things like that. I don't know how well again, we just came from a conversation of technology on a global level and having cars that are talking to each other, and yet there's still things like I got a fire starter in the mail. Turns out they make a Bic lighter that you can buy like packs of 100 of these things.
What if they're gone? You can't get them anymore.
I'm sorry, that's not as much fun as having a fire starter. And then as you're hiking and backpacking, you pick off because that's what I was doing when I'm piece of tree. It's like, oh, let's try this. Oh, I understand that this bark works really well. So I was pulling off the cedar bark and do it. And then at the campfire, you're like, hey, let's experiment and let's see how it works. What I didn't do was document all that and turn that into short TikToks.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
See?
So the point is, you have a lot of knowledge, and it's important for all of us to share our knowledge. Don't be selfish and keep your knowledge to yourself.
Yeah, don't keep anything to yourself. You need to be sharing all of your perspectives with everyone.
Right. Because you're important.
Because your brand is valuable.
You're important. Except I don't know which brand to use. Like I want to do do I want to be like the conservative stalwart? Do I want to be the conservative hippie? Do I want to be Mr. Jeeper? Do I want to be
be anything you want to be that you make up?
Oh,
you can.
Well, then I need to be like Mr. Beast and have like 7 different channels where it's a different personality, and I can be that guy. Oh, he's got 7 different personalities. I like it. Man.
I mean, our parents did tell us we could be anything we wanted to be.
You know what we need to do? I think we're getting about that time. We didn't. When did we start our big $5,000 giveaway last year?
Oh, well, no. I thought it was like
we should probably It's what is this? This is almost October.
Yeah.
So October, November. Yeah, we should probably talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, because we did the one that was specifically for Modern Jeeper and our listeners,
right?
Which was not the Metalcloak one that we do. The Metalcloak Modern Jeeper one we do at the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, let's because what were the rules last year? It was like you had to.
It was weird.
You had to.
I don't remember.
That's right. It was keywords. We gave them keywords over 5 different episodes.
We could do that.
Yeah, I like that.
You want to do that again?
Yeah, we could do that again.
You want to start now?
So we're coming down and doing the show again, right?
Well, yeah, but that's you guys will do that one after the first. That's the I resolved the Jeep one, which I think you did on your way. Was that on your way to or way back from
Winter Jamboree? I think somewhere.
Yeah, right in there. Yeah. But this is just purely the Modern Jeeper. Like, hey guys, so let's do it. You want to do 5 keywords again?
Absolutely.
That's
all right. So we do 5 keywords over the next 5 episodes. You have to. How did they report those to us? You remember?
Comments. Remember, our comments were broken last year, and no one could comment. And they sent emails, I believe.
And it was on the website at ModernJeeper.com. They had a comment in there.
Yes.
And then what do we do? Randomly select somebody who had posted in all 5, or I don't remember how we did it. I don't remember what the rules were. They just had to track all of them.
I do remember the first one we had to do was they wanted to name everything they wanted. That I do remember.
No, that was I resolved.
No, that's still that's I resolved the Jeep. This was just the $5,000 product giveaway.
I just remember keywords and comments. And in our comment section was broke.
Don Arter won that one. Was it Don Arter? Yeah, Don Arter won. Or was no, it wasn't. It was the other. Yeah, because we had him on our podcast.
Jeff.
I'm thinking about Don Arter as
Jeff? It's a common name, I believe.
Yeah, we had him on the podcast. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we'll
figure out. We're going to find out the rules on how you're going to do it. But here's the important thing. If you're listening right now, you need to document this down because this will be the keyword for this week. And it may be 5, it may be 10. Who knows? We'll figure it out. There we go. There you go.
Don't say it out loud if they have to see it on YouTube.
Well, they got to. They
We got to say it. So our keyword this week is going to be Camprite. And
Camprite.
You have to spell it right.
And you got to spell it right. And so that means you're going to have to either go back to one of our prior episodes, look at ModernJeeper.com. We've had articles about their products on there. Google their website. Go to their website, and you've got to spell it right. But it is Camprite.
It is Camprite. So that's excellent. So that's today's keyword. Start documenting that, and we will over the next several weeks we'll explain to you how it works. But all you need to know right now is that you should better write down Camprite. Camprite is the keyword of the day.
Keep track of that keyword, and then we'll figure out how we're going to do this.
That's right. We'll figure it out.
Good idea.
We'll take a look at how we do it. But yeah, I figured it was about time to start giving away something. Haven't done a lot of giveaways this year. So, okay, you guys got the event coming up this week, doing the ModernJeeper Adventure San Juan. What's next week for you when you get back?
We have a group coming there's some people from Kansas City as well as Tennessee that are coming out for that first week of October. Of course, that is also Trail Hero. I don't think we're going to make it down there to Trail Hero this year. That is a great event for a great cause, but it's really not a quote unquote vendor show for us. Mm-hmm. And we've got a lot going on, a lot to get ready for. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think we're going to do some little trips around here and show some folks around, probably go over to Moab for a couple of days and do the same thing over there, do some little bit of pre-running for our adventure for next year, kind of get some different ideas. We're kind of scattered. I mean, right now is such a weird time of year for us. We're in between kind of this and SEMA is going to be here to the end of this next month, which is going to roll into our Death Valley adventures, which we still have some spaces. I think I think we do. And we have to look at it because we still plan on doing some coordination on that first trip. That's right.
And what we have to figure that out. And we know that we have a couple for the ARS brand. A couple of our guys are going out to the Overland Expo in Flagstaff at the end of this
weekend, I think.
Next weekend.
Which one?
Next weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this because this is it's the end of the month. So I think we're the wait, today's the
No, it's
it is this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It is this weekend. Yeah. I need to have some conversations with people. Yeah,
because I was
today is the 21st. Yes, it is the 21st. Yeah, it is this weekend. Okay.
Yeah, I was disappointed that we arranged our event to be this weekend because I think that there's still I think that these overland type events are a good learning opportunity as well as to kind of just see what's going on out there. Jesse had made a comment a while back, and I'm, I'm always been kind of a gadget guy, but I've never been one of these. I'm going to pay some money and I'm going to get a cardboard box in the mail, and they're going to send me some stuff, and we'll see what's in it when it gets here.
I love them.
Oh, you never, not the guy
subscription boxes. I love them.
I used to do quarterly. That was all. I did quarterly with Tim Ferriss, but that was my big one. But I've never been into like a lot of the monthly ones. Yeah.
So I'm doing a quarterly one, and I found this company that I've actually I don't know even how I came across them. I think it was because of backcountry.com or the Climb
Facebook.
Or something. This company is called Nomadic.
Nice, with a K.
And again, it's since it's quarterly, they came out with a quarterly program that's a little bit more expensive, but it's kind of a step up in their box of crap. I really didn't want a box of crap.
So you can do a monthly box of crap with them, or you can do
you can do a quarterly box of better crap.
So, and that's cool because the biggest thing I liked about I tried when quarterly first came out, which their actual packing company, interestingly enough, was in the foothills up here. And it was just the company they hired to pack everything else and ship it out. But when quarterly first came out, it had curators. And the idea with it is you could be a curator. And if you were a big name like a Tim Ferriss or somebody else, you could have you curate these quarterly packages. And the value I got when paying for it, because I was paying $100 a month or $100 a quarter, and was Tim Ferriss would generally have something like $200 to $300 worth of value in that $100 box.
Right.
So I tried it with some other ones and some other brands, like Think Geek had one that was $50 a quarter. I usually felt like I was getting $30 worth of stuff. Right. And I tried it with some other groups, like, oh, here's a reading one, so it was like you were paying them for their time and effort as well to put together this curated box and send it to you. To me, there's only value if you feel like you're getting something of value, and
that's me to a T. I don't want to give money away. Yet there's a lot of stuff out there that we don't have any experience with.
New gadgets
are always fun, but again, if I'm spending, I think so. This box I think is like $150 a quarter, but there's discount codes out there. So I ran across some discount codes I got in an email or something, and then this box ended up being $130. So, and I was still like, really, $130. So what it
are you
showed
subscribed
me,
though? Are you subscribed now for every quarter? Okay.
Yeah. So this box came with those puffy blankets. You've heard of that blanket? You've heard of that RUMPL?
Yeah.
I love them.
So I got a Rumple blanket in this.
Wow.
Box. And I'm thinking, well, that's like $100. Those are like $99 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're amazing.
I've got this handy dandy fire starter.
Nice.
That it's okay. I get it. I actually like this one. It's a ferrocerium fire starter, so it's not magnesium, and it's got a really nice stick.
Say ferrocerium like 5 times fast.
Ferrocerium. Can't do it.
I was surprised. I was shocked you said it the first time right. I'm like, whoa.
I got a little some coffee.
Oh,
it's a pour over. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I actually take that when I go backpacking. I have Kuju.
Oh, gotcha.
Pour overs.
I'm still sitting here thinking, okay, but it was still like I'm looking for that $150 value. I got some gear patches, which to holes in tents, jackets, kind of
it's in cool shapes.
Tenacious tape, it's called.
Ooh, tenacious tape.
And he's got a bear and a buffalo and some acorns on the patches.
Yeah, they're shaped patches. I don't know if you can see that. Eco Vessel makes this little cup, which it's triple triple insulated.
Yes.
I don't know. Where's the quad insulated?
Well,
I feel like
the competition will come out with quad insulated.
Insulated, yeah, because I'm sure that one's better. It's got
that technically is quad insulated if you keep the sticker on.
Oh, that's a good point. If I put it in a koozie, then I'm like,
dude, what's quad? What's 5? How do you
penta?
No, is it penta? No.
Yeah.
No, penta. Quad, penta.
Penta insulated.
Pentagram.
I don't know about the whole, but I will say that the only way to get one of these handy dandy bad boys is to be on our ModernJeeper Adventure this week. But
that's right.
And so I'm like, okay, I got a cup that I have a lot of, and some patches and a coffee, and then so in the bottom of the box is a headlamp.
Oh wow!
Nice headlamp.
And
wow, that's
so
a big
I googled
one
it. Amazon says these are about $70. It's
nice.
Lens, whatever it's
called. Lens
MH10.
lenser.
LED
lenser. LED
They're,
lenser. MH10. Wow.
And it's USB rechargeable. It's got a separate battery pack with it. It's like 700 lumens and a headlamp.
Damn.
So, okay.
You got your value.
I think that I'm pretty happy with it. And again, this is the intro box, so they want you to stay a part of it. We'll have to see what happens in another quarter.
Some of my subscription boxes, you can earn points or extra things they have a little card and it gives you a description of everything that's in there and codes.
Right.
If you go and do a review on it,
mm-hmm.
a video review, or even tag and post them in your video review, you get extra points. That's some of my makeup ones have those.
Right. And that's the cool thing about it is you got to create a game on it. Like I've thought about the ModernJeeper brand doing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about it, to be profitable, you probably want to have at least 1,000 subscriptions, right? You need to get to that point where you're at 1,000 subscriptions. Paying quarterly is probably the right way to go because it gives you time to really pursue it.
And getting
monthly boxes, like John used to get Loot Crate. And Loot Crate was very much like for the Comic-Con fan, and everything from the box itself having like marketing on it from the upcoming Avengers or whatever to he has little pins on his wall in his office that he's gotten that are all custom made little pins that are various things from old video game icons to other things, right? Little characters like Groot and stuff that he has sitting on his desk. So very cool stuff. But interestingly enough, I was looking at somebody doing an analysis on when you go to look at thrift stores and looking for collectibles and things that are resellables, right? It turns out that most of the stuff that's Loot Crate exclusive, like a Groot that's a Loot Crate exclusive, has no resale value. Like it's not the collectors aren't trying to get those because they were just
interesting.
They were specialized for Loot Crate, according to this guy, right?
Gotcha.
But yeah, the whole idea. But then you look at it, go, okay, because some of these I know for a long time, Will was getting one of the ones that was Gearhead associated, right? So you got a T-shirt every month, you got a pin, you got maybe some little gadgets, so the little fill-in stuff I call that all the little fill-in. You got 2 really good things of value and then a bunch of fill-in things. But to really curate all that stuff and bring it together, that's a full-time job, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting. We as Jeep guys, we like gear. We like stuff that's usable. But the thing, so I was actually thinking this morning when I was out in my shop working on one of the Jeeps, what we don't have in any of our Jeeps is that junk drawer you have in your kitchen.
Right.
Where you're not even sure what's in there. Well, we're almost needing that in our rigs because we have so much stuff and we need a junk drawer in there to where is that going to be the glove box? Is that the center console?
That's my glove box, buddy.
Mine's the center console.
Yeah. And I think that's unfortunate because that kind of stuff drives me nuts.
Then you would really be driven nuts by the fact that pretty much once every couple of months, we empty out our junk drawer in our kitchen into a plastic crate that's sitting on my bench in my garage that needs to be sorted through. And so I've got junk plastic crates full of all the stuff that's accumulated in the junk drawer.
I am not that. I am. If I'm not using it in the next 3 to 4 months, then it must be trash. And I'm horrible. Like I want to give stuff away. I want to put it on whatever, eBay and all that, but I don't. I end up just chucking it and I feel bad. I used to put stuff out at the curb, and it would just disappear at the end of the day. But
there's not enough people in your neighborhood for that to happen.
Oh, no, exactly.
Animals taking it away.
Big stuff is fine, but like I can't really put, I don't know.
I told him to put a table out there and just.
I'm gonna have like a permanent yard sale or something.
Stuff table.
Well, yeah, I'll introduce you to people that are out there, like Rob, one of our guys here. His side hustle. He goes and checks out the thrift stores on the weekends and picks up stuff and CDs and things like that, and uses the eBay app to scan it and see what it's selling for on eBay. And he buys things for $5 and sells them for 200. On eBay.
As Jeep things become hard, I can already see this going with parts, hard to find parts, things like that, where there's going to be, it's going to be interesting. I mean, some of these, as these older model Jeeps or things that you just can't find anymore go away, whether the manufacturer went out of business or they stopped making it. There's some really cool stuff out there, but I think it's interesting. We're into that time of to pay $100 to mount a cell phone on my dash. We're kind of in that realm. Like, what's wrong with us? Is this, that's craziness. We're going to spend that kind of money on stuff that is just so simple or,
yeah, it's that thing about the toys and the gadgets and the gifts and the things you want, right? So, I mean, right now there's challenges in the industry for aluminum. So I keep thinking that all these aluminum stock wheels that people are accumulating that can't get sold because nobody wants them, maybe we just need to melt them down and start like turning them into like
new business,
recycle back in. Turn. You ship us your aluminum wheels, and we'll ship you back a set of fenders.
Right? Is that would that be a foundry? Where do those mills live? I mean, like steel, I understand, but
that's be an underground foundry. That would be like, what's that? We have no idea. That smoke's not from us.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What talking about? That's just little thing. Just melt it down. Melt down your wheels and create cast aluminum fenders for you.
There you go.
I like it. It's a business. Well, there's the whole idea of gadgets and things, and you are definitely more of a early adopter than I am.
Well, I just want things for me. They have to be usable, and if it's not usable, man, I have enough of that stuff that I've mentioned this long time ago. It's head trash for me. One of my prior bosses that owned land title used to talk about head trash. If you can clear up that head trash, well, it's no different than those little gadgets that don't get used. That thing just exists in my mind and it takes up space. If I can remove it, then I have more space in my brain. But we have all that clutter in there, and it can be things, it can be thoughts, it can be all of that stuff. That's all head trash. We need to get rid of the head trash.
Yeah, that's that 80-20 rule. That applies to our own heads.
That's right.
Yeah, head trash. That's a good idea. I mean, I very simply handle it by there's a whole section of my head that I just ignore. Just like my garage, I ignore it. I don't worry about it. It doesn't stress me out. I've learned a long time ago that I can't do anything about it. It doesn't affect me. My backyard affects me because I'm like, I'm about to pay somebody a decent chunk of money just to come in the back and go make this look pretty again. Right. Like I've neglected it. I did just here. I don't care. Fix the damn thing and make it look pretty again. Which means getting your hands and knees and pick out all that crabgrass growing through my underbrow.
Last night at 8 o'clock, I asked Jesse, I said, what's that sound? I hear somebody's outside. I looked outside. There's a pickup in front of my house in the yard. They said they were going to bring me some more rock to cover up this one flower bed. And 8 o'clock last night, pitch black outside, they're hauling rock.
Well, at least they're getting it done.
That's right.
That's right. Getting it done. All right. Well, there's a lot more we could talk about our modern Jeepers, but I think we mentioned Jeep at least a couple times. We're still working with, for our listeners, we're still working out with something with Bestop. We'll figure out what that's going to look like as well. Sure.
We should then hopefully maybe we can have them on the program next week. We'll see how that goes.
You know, doing a quarterly box works a lot better when we've got, you know, and then we go to our sponsors and make them ante up stuff. You think we got, you know, get a radio. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff we can ante up, and we should think about it. We'll pursue it. Yep. Hey, listeners, if you want to see something, if you want to see some sort of quarterly thing from Modern Jeeper, let us know.
I'd like to, yeah, we'd like to hear your thoughts for sure.
Hear your thoughts about it. Please email Matson at Metalcloak.com, Corey at Metalcloak.com, Jesse at Metalcloak.com. Of course, you can find us at ModernJeeperAdventures.com, ModernJeeper.com. And remember the word of the week, the key word of the week.
That's right.
Mark that down. All right. Anything else, my friends?
I think we're good, man. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Friends, we'll see you on the trail.
Cheers.
See ya.